I came in the choir.
Like a reverend. Okay, choir mistress.
Oh, well, we have just completed this time in the spirit of resurrection, post-resurrection. I hope that we are doing very well around town in Lagos and in Nigeria from everywhere. There are crucial periods on our hands, and I hope that Nigerians will make the best use of their vote and their PVCs come 2023. Please be aware, be informed, and understand who you want to vote for.
Marshall.
Yeah, I actually didn't notice that it looked like a robe. You know, when I came to the dresser and I gave you that hug, I didn't take a look at your dress.
Yeah, burnt the cable now that you gave me a hug.
The powder. The powder. Maybe the powder.
Oh, really? Well, guys, welcome to the show. It's actually the Kike show. My name is Marshall Anthony Onanya, co-host. Welcome.
All right, exactly 6 days ago in 2016, a suicide attack at the Abuja office of this day newspaper occurred, and 9 people lost their lives. So we heard, and I think it's important to let's hear more about the history on this day in history segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
On this day, 26th April. On this day in 2016, exactly 6 years ago, a suicide attack at the Abuja bureau of This Day newspaper and a car bombing at another of its offices killed at least 9 people in the first such strikes against the country's media. The explosions, which occurred simultaneously, rocked This Day office in Abuja and another location near its office in Kaduna. Just while rescue was ongoing in Abuja, the explosion in Kaduna went off. The Kaduna explosion occurred in Katangwa Road by Amadu Bello Way, Kaduna, at a building housing some media houses, which includes This Day, The Sun, and The Moment. The site of the explosion in Kaduna is popular for vendors and newspaper distributors. Many news organizations have small offices around the area. The suspect allegedly threw in the device or was captured by witnesses while escaping the scene. He was later handed in to the police.
All right, on this day in history segment, Marshall, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on this day in history segment?
Yeah, the bombing. So, for me, it was like an attack on the media. It was one of the first on the media. Unfortunately, I've had a similar experience in a media organization where I worked before, where there was an attempted bomb attack. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was a suicide bomber, but he brought in a bomb, a parcel, containing bomb. It was later detonated, or rather, it was later disabled. So when that of this day happened, we could relate. We felt really, really sad about it, and we felt that would have been us if that bomb had detonated as planned, But thank God, after that, we've not seen much of that reoccurring. Such attacks on media houses.
Well, I think for me, I'll just say that whoever is in the darkness perpetuating evil, they understand and they are clearly aware, except that, like you said, there was something that was very pertinent to that bombing, which maybe a lot of us do not understand. And sometimes when there are leaks about you or yourself or something close to that, you can decide to orchestrate such a plan. But I mean, for innocent people who are even there who lost their lives, and the Abuja one was categorically said that it was a suicide attack because the person drove into the compound and rammed into the building, which caused the explosion. But I'll just say that whoever is behind this orchestration, the Boko Haram didn't really claim ownership of that event. But of course, because we have seen some other antecedents from their table. So I would always say that they should temper justice with mercy. These are people's lives that we are talking about. It's just incessant, and we really do not need it. All right. Let's look forward in peace.
All right, guys. I guess both of you have done justice to on this day in history segment. I just want to say that that didn't stop the media outfit from growing. So, anyways, it's time for a quick message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Wow, interesting profile, I must emphasize. Again, welcome to the show, Honorable Minister. Are you there?
Yes, I'm there with you, Kike. Thank you for having me.
it's a pleasure to have your honorable figure on the show today, and of course, I must emphasize that you're a true fellow countryman and a devoted public servant who have served this country in various political offices, like your profile have also been splashed in our faces. But you know, you are one of the few statesmen who has served as a governor, as a senator, a minister, and of course a deputy director of the Federal Republic of Health, or is it of Health as well. And again, I say many thanks for spending your lunchtime with us today. How are you doing today? Let me start from there. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very well. Thank you, Kike, and viewers. I'm all right. I thank everybody.
Fantastic, fantastic. So going straight to the point, sir, you know, you declared your intention for presidency as a burning desire to see a prosperous, a united, and equitable Nigeria, as you emphasized, you know, as one of your key factors in your presidential communication. But how do you want to achieve that, considering the bulk of challenges that comes up in recent times?
Well, Kike, I just want to reassure you and Nigerians that when I say that, I know it will not be a tea party to come to governance in Nigeria now. Now that the resources of the country has gone down very drastically from what we used to have. Now that because of the low resources and where this government actually started from, things have not been very rosy. Our oil earnings have gone down. The 2.3 million barrels allocation from OPEC, we're not even able to meet it up. The prices have crashed, at one time getting up to $14 a barrel during the COVID. And in the range, not more than $50-something a barrel for the past 6 years, except now that you have the Russia-Ukrainian war. So with the compression of the resources, rise in population, number of persons being catered for, what it was 7 years ago is not what it is today. The resources have remained smaller, receding, while the population is going up. We are estimated to be about 200 million in the last 2 years, but I know by now we are about 220 or thereabout. And it's the same resources that we were using 20 years ago. The same resources have even gone down. So anybody who is telling you that you are asking to be president and that you expect that it will be a dancing party, tea party for you, that person is joking. I'm used to struggle. I'm a Spartan. I'm disciplined. I'm used to writing a bad situation to become good. I did it in Anambra State. When I came to be governor in Anambra, people were pitying me. In fact, as a matter of fact, from the time I put in my nomination and was going for election, people said, no, the whole place is spoiled. The schools are closed, 9 months. Civil servants are owed, 9 months. Hospitals are closed, 9 months. Pensioners have not been paid for about 5 years. Gratuities have not been paid for 2 years. The infrastructure gone. Education in the abyss. So where do you start from? But when I came, I confronted the challenges head on. I came up with a blueprint of what to do, infrastructure-wise, education, health, and the public service rejuvenation, agriculture. So when I faced each compartment, I dealt with it. And by the time I left Anambra after 34 months, not even 4 years, not even 8 years like some people have done, Anambra people knew that somebody came through this path called, and that person is Chris Ngige. Because I started with the infrastructure. Anambra people like to travel, they're businessmen, the economy has to be lifted. I faced through construction. with my team, carefully selected team. My commissioner for works, architect Kike, very energetic former classmate of mine in the secondary school. We were hand-on, and we brought in reputable contractors, Cetraco, Renault Construction Company, RCC, and Nigercat. These were the foreign companies we used. And delineated the roads, interstate roads, federal roads, and then community roads. And we tackled them. The roads we built, they will build close to 750 to 800 kilometers of roads. If I include the ones that I awarded before I left, which Obi administration also tried to do, then we're talking about 900 or more than that. So, but the good thing is that those roads are standing today, 18 to 19 years after. Those built in 2003 are now 18 years. Those built in 2004 are now 17 years. Those built in 2005 are 16 years plus. So you can see the magic we did there. Go to Anambra and ask everybody.
Great.
We then went into construction of schools in education. We paid for the SUBEB. I was the second state to do counterpart funding with SUBEB after Rivers State. We did it. And then they started the schools, renovation of schools, school teaching materials.
Honorable Minister, sir.
We employ teachers.
Honorable Minister, sir.
Pay teachers. Yes.
On speaking about, hearing you speak about SUBEB schools, and also you mentioned that you came into Anambra State with a blueprint of education. We know that there's a huge deficit of in the education sector now in the country. How do you intend to manage this situation when you become the president, looking at the incessant ASU strikes that we have been having?
Well, ASU strike is tertiary education. But it captures all people's attention because you have people doing a lot of media hype. How about primary education? The foundation of education. Where you also now even have these Amajaris and non-Amajaris. And we're not going to tackle them. I have a blueprint. What is going on now is okay, but I need to modify it. I need to put a strong pressure on it. I can even divide my education into secondary and primary, and then tertiary to be 2 ministries. It's possible. I can do that. It's one of the things I even tried to do in Anambra State, but I did it in a way that was not very pronounced. So, primary and secondary, I must restructure them, especially secondary. We need to diversify the secondary education here so that at least we have 1 year dedicated to vocational training so that children can have skills. The problem we have is that by the time you push out people from secondary schools, those who don't find themselves in the tertiary institutions of whether it's College of Education, whether it's Polytechnic or whether universities, those people are now put like that, they have gone to the garbage. You are putting them out into the streets. They form the bulk of the miscreants. They form the bulk of the people that are taking over to be bandits, to go into Boko Haram activities, or go into other people's congress, or do massive activities. People who don't have hope anymore. So we need to give them skill. Plumbing, painting, POP, laying, tiling, mechatronics, or what some people call mechanic attention, electrical wiring, electrical conduit wiring, and electronics, computer assessment. You don't need to go to university or before you can become a computer guru.
It was in your time.
Most of the people doing computer abroad Some don't have formal education in
Exactly.
the universities.
Okay, we agree. I strongly agree with you, sir.
The emphasis on paper.
Can you hear me, sir?
Certification.
Can you hear us, sir?
Go down.
Hello, sir. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good. It was in your time in Anambra State we saw the transformation of the security architecture go from very radicalized to very secured and safe. It became one of the safest states. And we also saw your successor, Peter Obi, also add up to what you did. Now we have a country that is almost stifled by insecurity. How do you intend to return or replicate what you did in Anambra State on a national level? And also looking at the current state of security right now in Anambra State, especially with the IPOB movement and the MASOB movement, how do you intend to balance that up on the national level to see a replication of what you did in Anambra State?
Now, listen, thank you very much for this question on security. But before I answer it, let me, so that it doesn't look like I'm running away from the ASU imbroglio. ASU imbroglio, I'm a conciliator. I'm negotiating, you know, I'm the negotiator. I put them to negotiate. They and their employer, which is the Ministry of Education and NUC. They negotiate with them. They negotiate also with IPC, Ministry of Finance, and Accountant General Office. Again, we put down what everybody has agreed in writing and give timelines for implementation. There is nothing new. ASU strike have been a recurring decimal. In the last 20 years, they have gone on strike 16 times. So there's nothing new as such. But I have done what Napoleon could not do. Ask them. I'm the only person who have come and negotiated and put timelines on my agreements and push other people, the government side, to implement those timelines. Last year alone, based on the timelines I put on the 2020 agreement, they got 92.7 billion in terms of revitalization and end academic allowance for university system. So the negotiations are going on now, and the negotiations being made impossible and impracticable. For example, you say that NIDA, National Information Technology Development Agency, that they take your platform, and even if it's good or it's not good, that they should use it in payments in the university system. And you know that fraud committed in money issues or money platform can run into billions, even if you put in before 100 and you add 0000 due to hacking, it will become billion. So as Anita said, the integrity test and vulnerability test of your system is not good. I have put them together and I told them test and continue and see when you arrive at something 100%, because that's what the people insist on, that they cannot even do 99.9% on hacking or vulnerability, that they will not. They won't take that risk for a payment system. So these are the issues. So if you hear anybody calling, oh, Ngige is, I'm not the implementer. I'm not the implementer. I am the conciliator. I conciliate it so that there will be no more warfare. And even in conciliation, before once I arrest anything, any trade dispute, the people go back to status quo ante, which means you call off your strike. They have not done so. They have not obeyed. The law is a law. So, but I leave it at that. We're still talking. I spoke to Professor Briggs, whose committee is now one of the committee doing one of the works and supposed to let me report today. He said the report has been handed over to education yesterday. So I will make contact with education and say, when are you coming up with this situation so that we know what we're doing? Security, I will not tell you publicly things I won't do in security, because security is a very private thing, it's sensitive, and it's not something you discuss in the open. However, our chief security officer in Anambra State, and as you rightly said, there was secure environment while I was there. People go to banks, they are counting their money on the bonnet of their vehicles with which they came to the bank outside, and nothing happens to them. How did I do it? I did it because I passed an Anambra vigilante law, which permits me to set up this security outfit in every local government of Anambra State. with a central command in Oka. And we employed the young men, paid them 30,000 naira a month at that time. 30,000 is the equivalent of 300,000 today. We paid them, and they were ready to work. We got permission, registered their guns, pump action, and they used it, and pursued any robber, any kidnapper, any miscreant that entered Anambra State. They will get the information. I paid for intelligence for them. And so we secured our place. Now, the only thing I can tell you is that as president, I will embrace the state police system. The state police system I'm going to embrace will have a handshake with the Central Nigerian Police Force, by which we shall mimic the judicature of Nigeria, the judicial system of Nigeria, which you know is both federal and state-oriented. For example, judges in state high courts are appointed by the National Judicial Council. Chief judges of state appointed by the National Judicial Council. But they are presented to the House of Assembly or Houses of Assembly of respective state by governor, and also transmitted to NJC by the state governor. So governors will have a role in appointing their CPs, their commissioners of police. They will also have a role in employing, just like the State Judicial Service Commission is doing, employing people who work in the senior cadre of that police force. And the central command of the police force will still be there as federal police, but there will be a handshake. They will lead that system.
Many thanks for your submission thus far. Hello, sir. Many thanks for your submission thus far. I know we are running out of time, and I wish you could share your blueprints when it comes to insecurity and, of course, the challenges we are going through when it comes to ASU, knowing that your own children also school in the Nigerian University. Yeah,
but my children are here.
Yeah, so
three of them.
Absolutely, sir. So putting that aside, you know, in March, the National Bureau of Statistics, you know, released the data for unemployment at 33.3%, and the highest in the last 13 years, translating to about 23.2 million Nigerians, and we are the second highest in the world. So, as the Minister for Employment, and you are part of this administration, what does this genuinely say about your scorecard for presidency? I'll be doing an injustice if I don't bring this talk to fore.
No, you miss it. You miss the point. I'm Minister of Labor and Employment. The employment I'm actually in the main looking after are those in employment. Yes, I'm also supposed to do a cross-cutting maintenance and monitoring of employment by MDAs, because it's a cross-cutting thing. No one ministry or agency of government or even private employer can do this all. We monitor them. That's our main mandate here. We monitor them, and with the Bureau for Statistics, we keep up this release that they've done. The release is mind-boggling, is disturbing, but I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because the industries have all closed down. So private sector things, and the economy has been struggling. So the private sector employers of UAC, of the food industries, the garment industries that are closed down, the construction and everything, they employ fewer hands. So that's why I'm saying that I know where the problems are, that I'm inside the room. I know the problems. I know the areas we have done very well. I know the areas we have done well, and I know the areas we have not done too well. So that I can, with the benefit of this knowledge that I have, I can make the Nigerian economy an economy of production. I know also how to diversify. I know what to do in agriculture. Agriculture is the low-hanging fruit. from where we can create jobs very easily. From the man who is in the field, the man sowing, the man who is harvesting, the man who is threshing them in the factory, if it's rice, the man who is bagging the rice, the man who is transporting the rice, the man who offloads them in the market, and the man who is selling. That is the chain of jobs that have been created in agriculture with rice alone. Same goes for wheat, same goes for soybeans, same goes for the normal beans that people eat, and same goes for every agricultural production thing. And I also know that we lose a lot from the storage system in agriculture. Being a member of so many of the presidential committees, I'm a member of the presidential committee on economic sustainability that managed the COVID and how to write it. I'm a member of the committee on poverty reduction. I'm a member of the committee on skills. Committee on skills, we must diversify education in the university system. Give people again skills, at least for 1 year. No paper qualification. The paper qualification cannot do it for us. They cannot. The white-collar jobs are no longer there. They are scarce. It's a colonial mentality. People need to use their hand. People used to become entrepreneurs coming out from school. So these are the issues. And with that, we can get down on unemployment. And as we are getting down on unemployment, we talk about our population. Shall we continue this way? If we continue this way, there is no Uhuru. Those who have 10 children, one for one woman, those who marry 10 wives, those who procreate at anyhow, is it necessary? And we need to do some population, maintenance teaching.
All right, sir. Many thanks for that. We'll go on a quick break to get
churches, schools, and whatever we find, because we cannot continue. Our population has gone so high and is galloping in the rate at which it's going up steeply, that if we continue that way, we'll have problems.
All right, many thanks for your submission thus far, sir. We'll go on a quick break to get the message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you are still with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is with the Honorable Minister of Labour and Employment himself, Dr. Chris Ngige, and sequel to his declaration for presidency, or for the presidency, I have deemed it fit to have real talk with him on his ambition and, of course, the #1 office of this country. And I must say, many thanks for staying with us, sir. And before I come back to you, let me quickly open our phone lines. Do not forget that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 080-988-77400, showing on your screen right now. And of course, you can make comments on all our social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and all. And of course, we are streaming live on YouTube page and Facebook page of Silverbird platform, and of course, Real Talk with Kike. Sir, again, many thanks for spending your lunchtime with us. All right, I guess we're having some connection issues with him. So while we try to connect back to him, thus far, I know that the population issue with Dami is always very, that's an highlight for you right there, because I know that you always have issues with the population of Nigeria and all of that. Well, we are still trying to connect back to our guest. You know, guys, remember that you can be part of this conversation, and the number is showing on your screen right now. Masha, what's your take thus far with all you have shared? You have said a lot. We've asked just probably 3 or 4 questions, and you have shared so much. Is actually interwoven from one submission to the other. What's your take thus far on this?
Well, yeah, brilliant one. You never know. He came out as the governor of Anambra State, and at the time we saw him as a technocrat. And even though the election was still debated, the result was still debated, strongly debated, we still saw him thrive and take Anambra to great heights. And so far we've seen how he has held his ministerial position.
Yes, I'm back.
Fantastic. Many thanks for all you've shared thus far. We're about going into some analysis based on your submission with us, all your submission on your question. But I have to ask you, sir, because how confident are you that you can win the primaries in the APC camp with the likes of the vice presidents? We have your brother and your fellow Southeast extracts, Rotimi Amechi, and of course the Jagaban himself. How do you think you can win this, sir?
That shows that APC has very qualitative candidates. The names you have mentioned, they are qualitative men. But my answer will be simple. Even though they are qualitative men, the best man will emerge. And the party members will vote for the best man. And in voting for the best man, they will look at the track records. Were you a governor? What were you able to do as governor? They will
Are you there?
I was governor for 3 years.
Are you with me, sir?
Or are you a senator? Sorry?
Are you with me, sir? If you said the best, if you said the best man will emerge, eventually should you emerge as the flag bearer for APC after the primaries? What are your thoughts on having a female running mate as vice president? Did you get that?
Hello?
Are you there? I said eventually.
Yes, I'm there now.
Yes, I said eventually. Should you emerge as the flag bearer for APC after the primaries? What are your thoughts on having a female running mate as your vice president?
Yes, why not? You can be given a thought. We are going for the primaries. I would also look at my team. We are even approaching women to join the campaign team. And when we finish, if we are successful, we will now sit down again to know how to win the major election, the main election. So if my party now look at the women folk we have, they will give me their suggestion. But make no mistake about it, my mother is a woman. And I love her very much, even though she's late. My wife is a woman. She gave birth to beautiful children for me and manages my home. In all my absence, to do politicking and run around the country like a madman. She's there, keeping the home front. So we are always very much indebted to the women folk, and there are no pushovers, and anybody who ignores them does so at his peril. They also have the population. Even the Nigerian population of 200 that we're talking about, 40%, 35 to 40% are women. And if you put children there, women and children comprise 60% of any population, especially that of Nigeria. So I will give it a thought, ma'am. Well, when we get to the bridge, we'll cross it. But they are high in the index of my rating and assessment for the position.
Your team, your ministers and your cabinet members will enjoy a robust number of women on the platform.
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes.
great. Women inclusion.
We have plenty of women.
Thank you, ahead, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kike.
I'd like to ask you. We're not letting you go yet, so the vote of thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You have not released me.
No, not yet, sir. So that wasn't a vote of thanks. So I'd like to ask you, sir.
The detention continues.
I'd like to ask you, sir, why you think we should have an Igbo president.
Did you say why we should have an Igbo president, or why? Let me get the direction you come with your question.
Why do you think it's time for us to have an Igbo president? You're Igbo, and if you're contesting, obviously, you're one of those who told the line or school of thought that it's time for an Igbo president to emerge.
Yes, I belong to that school of thoughts. Why? Because in the last period we have democracy, it's in two stanzas. It was another one in 1999. 1999, everybody agreed that we go to Southwest and weave our presidency around Olusegun Obasanjo. I was in the PDP then. We were approached by the then leadership of the military that we need to assuage the Southwest Yorubas for the harm, for the injury done to them by the annulment of June 12th election, which our uncle MKO Abiola of Blessed Memory won. We have problem accepting it. But at the end of the day, we had to. As nationalists, Alex Ekweme was chairman of PDP. He gave up his position as chairman to contest this election before this thing happened. And Solomon La had taken over as the interim chairman. So the Igbos lost out. In APP, Obonayonu was the leading aspirant there. He was also prevailed to step down so that an Olufale from AD, not even from AMPP, was weaved in. And ADAPP had Olufale. Olusegun Obasanjo won. So this is the scenario at that time. And then after, he moved it to the north. They asked the party, allow me move this to the north, so that we establish a process of north-south. Everybody agreed. And he now moved it. My very good friend, Moru Yaradua, came on board. By God's grace, he became president. Unfortunately, there was a force majeure. He died in office. His deputy Jonathan took over and did from that period of 2009 to 2011. Now, Jonathan went to do a recontest in 2011 and became president. He's from the state that has only 8 local governments, the tiniest state in Nigeria. So that was God's work, and that's why I call it a force majeure. He now did first term. After finishing his first term, in 2015, he said he was going to go again. Then the PDP governor said no. Some of them said no, you cannot go. And a lot of them even left and came and met us in APC. And said that it's the turn of the North, but the incumbent president wants to jettison what is in our constitution in PDP. We are leaving and we have left. So some of them came with that principle of that it is not in that 2015. We accepted them. And a lot of them even vied for nomination under the platform of APC. Kwankwaso vied. Tambuwal, former speaker, also vied. Saraki tried and stopped on the way. Who again? Atiku crossed over from PDP too and came into APC because he's son of the North. And they all vied with Muhammad Buhari from the North. So it was a state for the North from 2015 to 2023. That was our what is in our own gentleman agreement in our APC. So after that, it's the turn of the South.
Many times.
So in both parties, nobody have excuse to say that the South should not get it. And if you come to the South, the Southwest have done presidency of 8 years, Obasanjo, Vice President Oshibajo, 8 years, and even Speaker of House of Representatives. In this dispensation, is that it for them? The Southeast is the only place that have not tested this position I'm talking about of president. So, rightfully, morally.
All right, many thanks for your submission thus far. Sir, are you there? Can you hear me now? Apologies for interrupting your line of thoughts. We are running out of time. In fact, I must say thank you so much for all that you have shared with us. You know, definitely we will be inviting you back. But before we let you go, there's this last segment of the show that is called Trending Stories. Story that binds us together, that interests us as family. And because of time, I hope we'll be able to touch on these two trending stories. But let me start from World Intellectual Property. Today is World Intellectual Property Day, and I think that I would really like to touch on that. But before I do that, quickly, Masha, what's your take on World Intellectual Property Day today?
Interesting. It's a day set aside to recognize and celebrate the rights of people who have intellectual property, and the rights of people who have create an awareness of intellectual property rights. Not too many people know that your slogan can be registered, your logo, your thoughts, you know, if you put them into writing, can be registered. And when people, your songs, your lyrics, you know, even your face, I mean, when people take these themes or your intellectual property and put them to use and make money out of them, you have the right to call them out for what's it called, royalties. You know, so it's a day set aside to create awareness for the rights of intellectual property, and it's a good one. All
right, many thanks, Marshall, for your submission. I concur with you that it's a good one. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the first gap for me is the gap of ignorance. And I'm coming from a place of ignorance. What do I mean by that? A lot of Nigerians are ignorant of intellectual property knowledge, in the sense that is why we keep seeing a lot of, let's say, artists fighting over their royalties, and those who don't know how to fight sometimes die in hunger, not knowing the power and the worth of their intellectual property is the reason why at the end of the day they are unable to own their craft. Also, people also, I feel that they don't respect intellectual works, and they don't even want to pay them for their worth. Where am I coming from? Today you see a lot of intellectuals being given awards, you know, but in terms of incentives, in terms of remuneration, it doesn't follow suit with the kind of awards given to them. Again, people don't also pay what is due to intellectual works. You know, intellectual property comes in every profession, and I like to emphasize on that, because I feel that most times people just think that it's about you being bookworm. Not necessarily. You know, even a trader has some intellectual property. Yes, people learn the art and craft of trade every day. When it comes to the hand beads, the ashoke that we see today and all of that, I just feel that those are intellectual property. It's not only formal or with the white collar profession, so to speak, that we have intellectual properties and we create. And I feel that today we need to create more awareness, more advocacy on it. Now back to my own kind of business. I want to use myself as an example. You know, I'm a business owner. I'm also a company manager, and with my works, I feel that, you know, I want to state it clearly that my ideas, you know, should not be stolen or rebranded, even if you don't get to collaborate with me. Many a time when I go to a new organization and I feel that they're actually interested in what I'm pitching to them, you know, and I see, you know, sometimes your intuition tells you that there's something of these people want to steal your idea. Quickly, I follow up with an email to let them know, because I feel that those are the ignorance that we go through here. And I must tell you, you know, when things like that happen, I'm ready to sue. You know, there comes a time when late Dr. Miles Moore was alive. You know, I was the one in charge of his speaking engagement in Nigeria, and I know how some of his works or some of his books or some of his videos, you know, were actually tailored down or modified into somebody else's logo, so to speak. And I feel that people steal people's ideas, and that is one of the greatest theft that we have in intellectual property today. And I don't think I have people do not have the decency to understand those lines. Again, from the legal angle, I want to come from the legal angle now. I feel that our laws should start enforcing strong penalties against intellectual theft. People should value people's brains and their ideas and pay for it, because I'm sorry to say this, Marshall, every day sometimes you come here, you say, oh, Kike, why don't you infuse past combs or something. It's an idea, that's your intellectual property. I come here every day trying to think of how we can get better at what we do. I send in proposals to organizations, how to train them tailored down to their organizational gap in those organizations. If you thief my idea, I'm sorry, I'm going to sue you. Because that is my sweat. Please, sir,
I did not see anything.
All right, 2012. All right.
But that's the truth.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll come back to you on the second trending story. I think that we still have 3 minutes to call. Okay, I understand we do not have any time.
No time.
Sir, let me come to you quickly. What's your take on intellectual property day today? And I would like your last words in 1 minute, sir. What's your last word? Your parting words for Nigeria?
My parting word for Nigerians and everybody watching this program is that they see hope, and that hope is alive, and that my party, the APC, have not failed as some harbingers of bad news who want everybody to believe. No, we have worked, and we have worked well within the limit of resources available, within the conditions that we met, and within the conditions that was, so to say, imposed on us by a force majeure situation like the COVID-19. So if we get the ticket back, especially if I get the ticket, I will take Nigeria to Eldorado, because I'm a jack of all trades. If you look at my CV, I'm a visionary person. I'm intelligent enough to carry the weight of problem of Nigeria. I have the capacity with my education. I have the weight of experience following it, and I have the compassion, the compassionate mind to deal with issues of leadership in Nigeria. I know when to apply the big stick, and I know when to give the carrot. So it's a carrot and stick situation. So actually, I'm the jack of all trades, but master of all that Nigeria needs now for the situation it has found myself.
All right, many thanks for all your submission thus far. Guys, Nigerians, you've heard from our guest, Minister for Employment and Labor, Honorable Chris Ngige. He said he will take Nigeria to El Dorado, and he has the capacity in education and, of course, weight of experience. With that, we've come to the end of another interesting edition of Real Talk with Kike. Till we come your way on Thursday, remember to catch me up on Inspiration FM 92.3 tomorrow at 5 p.m. Remain kind to one another and stay blessed. Bye now.